Deep work. Every book, a new way of seeing the world. Welcome to our book club. Ever had one of those days where you're slammed from morning to night? Juggling emails, jumping into meetings, replying to messages, and when you finally shut your laptop, you realize you haven't actually done anything meaningful? You're not alone. And honestly, that's not your fault. It's how most of us are wired to work. See, there's this book called Deep Work by Newport. He's a computer science professor, a popular blogger, and the guy behind the blog Study Hacks, where he breaks down what actually makes people successful. He says there are two kinds of work. One is shallow work. Logistics, meetings, emails, PR events, stuff like that. It doesn't take much brain power. It's easy to copy and easy to replace. And here's the thing, it's low value. You can spend your whole day doing it, feel incredibly busy, but produce almost nothing of real worth. The other is deep work. That's work you do in a focused, distraction-free state. It pushes your cognitive abilities to the limit, and it produces results that are both creative and high value. This is the stuff that actually moves the needle in your career. Newport wrote this book back in 2016, and it blew up, hit #1 on Amazon's career category instantly. And the core argument is simple. The value of your work isn't determined by all the shallow stuff on the surface. It's determined by what happens underneath, the deep work. But here's the problem. Most people can't do deep work. Why? Two big reasons. First, there's something called the principle of least resistance. In human terms, it means we instinctively grab the easiest option. When you have a choice between replying to an easy email and writing that quarterly report that requires real mental effort, you'll reply to the email. Every single time. You know you need 2 hours of uninterrupted time to write that report. But a notification pops up. You click it. You reply. Another one pops up. You click again. And before you know it, half the day is gone and the report hasn't been touched. Why does this wreck your focus? Two mechanics. One is called task switching cost. When you switch between two tasks, your brain burns cognitive energy just making the switch. You look like you're doing two things at once, but each one gets way less attention than it would if you did it alone. So you're actually less productive, not more. The other is task confusion cost. After your brain switches from task A to task B, fragments of task still float around in your head. Picture this, you just bought a jacket on Amazon, then you sit down to code. But while you're coding, that jacket keeps popping into your head. Now two tasks are interfering with each other, draining your mental energy without you even noticing. You end up feeling like coding is way harder than it should be, and you might just give up and go back to shopping. But there's a second reason we can't do deep work, and this one cuts deeper. We've been conditioned to believe that busy equals productive. We all know that colleague who stays late every night, and everyone says, look how hard they work. In the office, overtime gets praised. The more meetings a department has, the more valuable it seems. Over time, we start to believe that more visible activity means more value. But it doesn't. It just means you're busy, not productive. And confusing those two things might be the single biggest trap in modern work. So how do you break out of it? Newport lays out 4 steps. Step 1. Pick a deep work philosophy that fits you. Not everyone can flip a switch and go into focus mode. Some people are sharpest at 6 in the morning. Some people hit their stride at midnight. So you need a model that works for your life. Newport describes 4. The rhythmic philosophy. Set a fixed time every day and do the same thing. Build a rhythm. Murakami is the classic example. He writes 10 pages a day, about 4,000 words, every single day. No exceptions. Whether he feels like it or not. That's rhythm. The bimodal philosophy. Split your time into 2 blocks, one for intense deep work, one for everything else. Adam Grant, the youngest professor to get tenure at Wharton, did this. He packed all his teaching into the fall semester. And in spring and summer, he did nothing but research. 0 interruptions. The monastic philosophy. Go completely off the grid. Neil Stephenson, the sci-fi writer, doesn't even have an email address on his website. He said, if I can get large, uninterrupted blocks of time, I can write novels. If my time gets chopped up, my output drops dramatically. And 4th, the journalistic philosophy. Drop into deep work at a moment's notice. Walter Isaacson wrote a 900-page book while working full-time as a journalist. Whenever he had a spare moment, he'd switch into writing mode. But Newport warns, this is the hardest one. Don't start here. Step 2. Turn deep work into a habit. Don't wait for inspiration. When Darwin was writing on the origin of species, he woke up at 7 every morning, went for a walk, ate breakfast alone, worked in his study from 8 to 9:30, spent an hour on letters, then worked again until noon. In the afternoon, he walked the same path around his greenhouse, thinking through the toughest ideas. Every single day. Same routine. Why does habit matter this much? Comes down to something called myelin. Myelin makes up nearly half your brain. It's the white matter that wraps around your neurons. When you fire the same neural pathway over and over, your brain thickens the myelin along that route. Think of it like a river. The first time water flows through, it's slow. But every day the channel gets wider and the water runs faster. Same with your brain. Do the same thing at the same time every day, and after a while, slipping into focus becomes almost automatic. Your brain doesn't resist anymore. So pick a fixed spot. Set a fixed time block. Cut off your phone and the internet. And just do it. Step 3, execute like a business. Most people say things like, I want to do more deep work. That's way too vague. You need a specific goal. One that actually gets you excited. Newport set himself a goal. Publish 5 high-quality papers in 1 academic year. And if he hit it, he'd reward himself with a trip or something he really wanted. That goal became his compass. Everything that didn't help him get there got cut. When you set your goal, focus on lead measures, not lag measures. Lag measures describe the outcome, how much weight you want to lose. Lead measures are the inputs, how many calories you eat, how many minutes you exercise. Lag measures only tell you if you succeeded after the fact, and by then it's too late to adjust. Lead measures let you course correct in real time. Say you run a bakery and you want to improve customer satisfaction. Don't use the customer satisfaction score as your target. That's a lag measure. By the time someone rates you poorly, they've already walked away. You don't get a second chance. Instead, track how many people accept free samples. That's a lead measure. More samples means more chances to convert, and if something's wrong, you'll catch it before you lose the customer. Then put up a scoreboard. Every week, mark down how many hours of deep work you did. Circle for completed. Cross for missed. Review it regularly. Figure out what's blocking you. Adjust. Step 4. Work less. This one sounds backwards, but hear me out. In an 8-hour workday, the max amount of deep work you can sustain is about 4 hours. For most people, it's 2. The rest is meetings, notifications, web browsing, and office politics. In 2007, a software company called 37 Signals ran an experiment. They cut the work week from 5 days to 4. Same pay. What happened? Productivity didn't drop. Nobody worked overtime either. Their CEO said it best. Very few people actually work 8 hours a day. Between the meetings, interruptions, web surfing, office politics, and personal stuff, you're lucky to get a few hours of real work. When time gets tighter, people value it more. Newport calls this fixed schedule productivity. Set a hard stop for your workday, say 5:30 p.m., and after that, no work, period. He's been doing it for 6 years. His output didn't drop. It went up. Here's the bottom line. 2 things keep most people from doing deep work. The principle of least resistance makes us grab the easiest task, and we've been brainwashed into believing that being busy means being productive. The fix is 4 steps. Pick a philosophy that fits your life. Make deep work a daily habit. Execute like a business with a real target and a scoreboard. And shrink your work hours so you're forced to focus. In a world where everyone is distracted, deep work is your unfair advantage. Try this tomorrow. Give yourself 1 hour. No phone. No messages. No distractions. Just one thing. See what happens. You might be shocked to find that 1 hour feels more productive than your entire day yesterday. If this hit home, drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.